What's up, guys? Dr. Mo here, digital nomad physician at digitalnomadphysician.com. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm a little bit dark today, but it is what it is. So I thought I would do another kind of series like this because this is really helpful to me, especially as I'm trying to kind of figure out maybe the brand identity that I'm after, that I'm kind of seeking out. And so over the years, a couple of people that I've followed that have been kind of interesting to me, the way they have developed themselves, the way they have portrayed themselves online. One of them includes Dr. Peter Attia. And just to kind of get everything out of the way so you guys can kind of spend your own time looking at things, Dr. Peter Attia is one of the people I'm going to cover. The next one is, I forgot his name, but this guy. Eric Bricker. Eric Bricker, who is pretty active on LinkedIn and also on YouTube, so I think that's another person I'm going to talk about a little bit. Strong Medicine, this was really fascinating to me, especially how well this website, this YouTube channel has evolved and how many views it's had. Just a good brand identity, I would say. And I will talk about Medcram. And the next one is Dr. McDougall, who you guys have probably, if you see his face, you'll recognize him here. That's his website. And the last one is the duo behind Mastering Diabetes. So we'll kind of go over that. So I thought what was really fascinating about Dr. Peter Attia is that he certainly has carved out a niche very much on his own, in his own space. And I think that's always really intriguing and interesting. And it can be very productive. It can also be kind of lonely, but he's definitely masterful at marketing. So Dr. Peter Attia, basically somebody who was a surgeon and a researcher, and over the years, he sort of kind of carved a space for himself in the I want to say longevity space, but again, I'm not trying to, some of you who know him much better might know exactly what he's into, what he's not into, and what his exact niche is. But for me, he talks a lot about lipidology and also risk assessment in healthcare in general, which I think to me is fascinating and very interesting. And overall, he does a great job of making himself an entity, a business entity that makes good money while learning a lot, while taking care of his resources, meaning he gets a lot of money from the people who are interested in what he's doing, and then he can use that money to pay his researchers on staff and for his clinics and to run some of the other stuff that he does. And so you can certainly learn a lot about him. You can become a member with him, and I think the member benefits are really great for those who are interested in him. The point isn't to say that Dr. Peter Attia is the foremost leader on certain healthcare information or health clinical information. That's not the point. The point is that this is such a good job of what he does. He's active on his social media stuff. He does a great job on his podcast. I think he does a lot of good stuff as far as research, and he puts out really thorough podcast notes. So once a podcast is created, there's a website you can click on that particular podcast episode and really get a lot of the notes. And I think that is one piece that is really important, especially somebody who's sharing a lot of clinical information, and he seems to enjoy that. At least it's kind of the sense I get. So he's got a lot of podcasts, a lot of different topics that he addresses. It's a really good website, by the way. I think this is yet another website that I would certainly emulate. It's straightforward, it's simple, it's got a couple of basic pages, but certainly a website that's very expensive to build because it's very interactive. So that's Dr. Peter Attia. Dr. Eric Bricker is I think he's now Chief Medical Officer. He's had an interesting career as far as his own business that he had before he sold it, and then going on to help other companies. But he's always been a physician, as far as I understand. He's been a hospitalist, I want to say. And what I think is really interesting is that he creates these little videos that are super quirky, but he does such a good job of it. And I find that he's catered his information for the average physician CEO, or possibly even just any kind of CEO or decision maker or president of a company who needs to understand healthcare. And so he's very bias free. Bias free meaning his information is just information. So for example, if I click on one of his videos on YouTube, let's not do that, but Okay, yeah, this is the way he always does it. He always shows up like this, kind of like very a little bit nerdy. He just writes everything on a board. Goes to show you that for very little. And again, he only has 10,000 subscribers, but believe me, this guy's reach is ridiculous. If we go to his About page, you can see he's already got 700,000 views. And that's pretty impressive for how long he's been on there. But the content he creates is really powerful because he shares information that you probably otherwise would not have. And it's very basic stuff. I think it's a lot of simple things like how does healthcare get paid? How does a third payer system work? How do PBMs work? How does a hospital group work? How does health insurance work? Things rates, like how rates are negotiated. So that's another person that I think does a great job. And for anybody who's interested in being in this space, I think he represents that quite well. His website, again, nothing impressive, but he certainly gets his name out there, and I think people know him. People will know that this is the guy to follow, right? The next one that I want to talk about is Strong Medicine, and I think what I like most about Strong Medicine is that it's just really good, clean, clinical healthcare information. Now, I think maybe during the pandemic, he got a little bit, not political, but he maybe voiced an opinion that's very strong, and I think that can exclude certain people, but certainly a strong following. He goes really in depth into clinical information, and this is stuff that patients find as well. It's not just physicians who see this, and I think it's pretty impressive that he's already got 41 million views. You can support him on a Patreon page, but I think he's making a permanent name for himself as somebody who can be trusted to portray clinical information well, and I think that makes him formidable. That's somebody who's always going to be hired, who's always going to be at the forefront, and who does a great job of researching it. And I think his videos are really, really well made. That's another thing I got to say. It's just a really well made video series. I can't believe I didn't watch this one yet. Let's add that to watch later. That's a good one. All right, so the next one is this guy. I don't know his name, honestly. Dr. Roger, was it? I think so. I think it's Dr. Roger. Yeah, Dr. Roger. Dr. Roger Sehult. No idea. What I like most about him is very similar to Strong Medicine, just creates precise, good, clear, well done videos on medicine, but all aspects of medicine. I mean, he really goes all out. Like, he doesn't care. He'll talk about COVID, and then he'll go into different polio vaccines, and he'll talk about nuclear fallout and vitamins, and just really good. And I think he approaches the topics that people probably find interesting. And that is always what's going to drive your numbers, right? If you're constantly talking about the stuff that's on the news, your numbers are going to reflect that. Now, I don't know what he does as far as like a living and stuff like that, but it looks like he's got the MedCram website where they sell courses to physicians. So if you go on the MedCram websites, they have a lot of different clinical courses, I think, that you can take for CMEs and stuff. And I think that's great, and he's definitely building a reputation for himself going in that space. By the way, love his website. Again, very straightforward, very simple, very much like Dr. Peter Attia's website in the way it flows. If you guys take a look at these side by side, they're very similar. And that's great. I mean, I think, you give that clinical aura off, and I think that's always a good way to do it. I never found a reason to subscribe to this guy, but his information seems really good. So again, really good. And then the next one is Dr. McDougall. Now, you guys all know Dr. McDougall. He's been around for a long time. If you don't, also very low subscriber count, but very high view count. Somebody who really talks about medicine from a very niche perspective. Like, he's all about veganism, plant-based, no animals and stuff like that. Low fat, I think he even is. But he's got a very strong following, and you can't deny that, And again, this isn't to say, is his clinical content good? Is he accurate? Is he not? That's not the point. The point is that he's creating a program for people who are interested in his program, and I think he cites good, solid information to say why what he does is good. But at the same time, I think he tries to stay away from saying that all carnivores, all meat eaters are bad and they should stop doing it. Though maybe in the beginning of his career, he did a little bit of that. And his website is solid. He has 12-day programs, starch program, aging gracefully programs that you can enroll in. He's got free recipes, always giving away free stuff. And I think what you guys can see from all these people is they're constantly giving away free information. If you can give away free information, you sort of create this live resume for yourself, and that is very powerful. So the sooner you start creating content, the sooner you start having this live resume. And in the future, you can always turn it into something profitable. To be honest, most of these guys all started out with creating content without any following, without anything. And I think that's something that we have to sort of appreciate. That's not, it's easy to forget that. He talks a lot about cholesterol, and there's different groups that you can join. I think they're pretty damn cheap, honestly. $3,000 for a 12-day program. If you guys think that's a lot, sure, I could understand that. But imagine if you're a patient and you really want to turn your life around, your health around. I mean, this is money you'll easily drop all day long. And you can imagine if this was done in oncology or autoimmune diseases like rheumatology, this would be pretty amazing. But I'm not sure if you could get the same traction if he didn't have all this content out there already. I mean, he's got books, he's got videos. He had videos before YouTube was YouTube, And I will say that in this space, the people, these two guys, I forgot their names. I read their books a couple of times, but Robbie and Cyrus, that's right. Robbie and Cyrus have done such a great job of marketing their program of Mastering Diabetes. And once again, something kind of unique in the sense that they are all about high carb, but low fat and kind of plant-based. So in a way, they're bucking the trend of, traditional diabetes treatment, management, and nutrition, and they're also all about like numbers and values and insulin resistance, and I think this is very unique. Would you say that this is the way diabetes should be managed? I don't know. It's not the point. The point is these guys are great at what they do. They're great marketers. Love their website, by the way. I think they have done a great job. They've incorporated a lot of people into their team. As you guys can see, it's a massive team of people. As always, free recipes. As always, they got a podcast. As always, they got YouTube videos. They're out there. They are out there. They're ready, and they are showing themselves. And I think that is, again, something really powerful. Blog posts, personalized coaching, one-on-one coaching, the book that they wrote. I mean, that's amazing. That book was pretty powerful. Again, we're not trying to judge these guys. That's not the point. But they certainly have done a wonderful job. Again, one of those websites where if you go on it, you can immediately click on book a session. You can immediately go down here and click on a time. Boom. I don't know why it says midnight. Oh, because I'm in Spain. And you can click a time. You can pay the money, and you're good to go. And they talk about their numbers, what the average person's results are based on their programs. They have little cute videos on the website. Their what is it called? Their affiliations. It's just great. I mean, this is how a website should be. In the long run, not right now. I mean, I don't want my website to look like this now. I'm gonna get a fuck ton of people who are gonna overwhelm me, and that's not good. But this is kind of something to understand that, these are the things. And I would say what everybody here has in common, you can see them, right? In a way, you can kind of get to know who the person is and what they're about pretty quickly. And I think that personal connection is, after all, what it is we're looking for. The pedigree, their face, their history, people on their team, and what their story is. And I think that that is what people are looking for these days. That's what they're willing to pay a lot of money for, because for whatever reason, they find that to be Dr. McDougall is getting old. In the past, he had a lot of images of himself, but I think he's passing on the McDougall thing. And so for that reason, you may not see as much of his face, because I think he's just kind of planning for the future. But yeah, here you go. Here's his face. He's all about starches. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. I would love to hear who you guys follow. I would love to hear who are your gurus, who are the sample websites that you really love. If there's a website that you think would be good for me to review and kind of comment on, I would love to do it. But I certainly am learning a lot from this. I'm learning that these guys all put out a lot of free content, which is kind of something I've already done. Then they are offering themselves as one-on-one consulting, coaching, whether in a clinical practice, straightforward, or one-on-one sessions. And then they're growing their team and training other people who think like them to be part of the team so that they don't have to be the ones running it. And they offer courses. So I think that is sort of a very similar trajectory among all these people and all these pages that I have given you guys. I hope this is helpful to you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any questions, email me drmo@digitalnomadphysician.com. Take care.